Alright, last modern match of the week. And of course, just as I start recording this match, Jelle messages me on Discord. I swear, sometimes that man has a sixth sense for these kinds of things. I don't know what this is, but sure, we'll roll with it. So I'm once more playing niv-mizzet with Jelle playing mono blue Tron. Now this is a deck you probably don't see a lot of. As I just slam into a natural turn 2 Unmoored Ego. That's a fantastic opener right there. Just turn 1 Birds of Paradise, turn 2 slam an Unmoored Ego. Of course, I'm gonna name a Tron piece and just slow this game down to a grinding halt. I believe I'm at 17. Yes, I am. So, Jelle is going to be looking to assemble Tron, as Tron decks do. Ursa's Mine, Ursa's Power Plant, and Ursa's Tower, and he's going to make a bunch of mana. Now, instead of something like Green Tron, which has Karn Liberated, or maybe Eldrazi Tron, which just plays Eldrazi, Jelle is looking to abuse his mana for maybe a Mindslaver lock. Mindslaver gonna be able to just take over my turn infinite amount of times, and then using Academy runes, he not only draws his Mindslaver, but he can also just not deck himself while I don't have control over what I'm doing. Aside from that, you get Trinket Mage. You got, I believe, Trophy Mage. At least you got 2 of those mages. You also get Thirst for Knowledge, which draws you cards. Then you discard either 2. I think it draws you 3 cards. Then you either discard 2 cards or you discard an artifact. Fantastic draw spell, and you're already playing a bunch of artifacts, so you got plenty to discard. And aside from that, like Ugin is still a really great payoff for any kind of control deck. You got Wormcoil Engine, which the value there is insane. Now, I know Jelle. I know Jelle's deck pretty well, and he also plays Mere Battlesphere. Now, for those of you who don't know what a Mere Battlesphere does, it is a 7 mana 4/7, I believe. It comes into play, it creates 4 1/1 mirror. Then when it attacks, it can tap any of his mirror to get +1/+0 for every mirror and deal 1 damage. So it attacks as an 8/7. It's usually not the best card in Modern, but I mean, in that deck, it doesn't really matter anyway. Besides, he really loves the card. I think it's one of his oldest foils. Like that thing has seen some games. That thing has seen some games. But you know, he loves it, and when that thing comes down, it's pretty brutal. It does a lot of damage. And of course, even if you answer it with like a Path to Exile, you still are left with just an army of dorks just coming at you. So, but the Unmoored Ego here, putting a big break on this Tron plan, and Renin 6, gonna try and fix my mana. Jelle here, still showing Academy runes, which isn't really gonna be doing much for a while. It can reset some of his artifacts if he really wants them. They go to the top of his deck, so he really needs to want them for him to actually do that. He also has one of the mages that finds your artifacts. He has a Mindslaver, which, as we talked about, if you have the mana, It's 6 to cast, then 4 to activate, I believe. You just take control of your opponent's next turn. He doesn't get an extra turn or something like that. But that's pretty much all it does. Now, Yellow here playing Thirst for Knowledge, discarding Expedition Map. That Expedition Map, not going to be the greatest here. To be fair, he does have a couple of other utility lands. I know he plays Blast Zone. It can help you find your Academy runes, but of course, he already has the Academy runes in his hand. There was one other target, I believe, but I'm not quite sure what that was again. Yeah. One other thing to look out with Mono Blue Tron, because you have blue and you have a lot of mana, of course Walking Ballista, yeah, that works too. But also things like Repeal and Condescend. Condescend, X and a blue, counter target spell unless its controller pays X, and then regardless of whatever happens with that side of the effect, you get Scry 2. Completely regardless of what happens, because if the card fizzles, you don't get the Scry 2, but you can target something that's uncounterable. You can actually pay the mana, the X mana in some cases, but in those cases you still get the Scry 2 cards, which that's a pretty good effect. Definitely. And then as soon as you assemble Tron, then it's basically slap your opponent with the I have more mana than you card, which that's a sweet card. I mean, that's why you play Tron. You play Tron to have more mana than your opponent, no matter what happens. Isn't really happening this game, but Yellow's still here. Niv-mizzet, not the fastest deck in the world. And unfortunately, Niv, as you might have seen in the previous match, is not the best deck against control decks, because Niv-mizzet usually doesn't mind going long. In fact, it wants to go long. But the reason it wants to go long is because it has certain engine pieces that grind out value. They're great if you can actually put them on the field. And Mono Blue Tron is still just a control deck. It has counter spells, which means it's still going to make it somewhat hard for me to actually resolve anything. And where Blue-White Control plays things like Jace the Mind Sculptor or the Fairy Hero of Dominaria, Mono Blue Tron puts down a Wormcoil engine and starts beating your ass. Mono Blue Tron seems like it's in a very unique position to do something like that. Now, again, I had a great start here and kind of put him back on mana. This Teferi is not gonna resolve because Yellow would just be straight up dead if it did. Despite not having Tron this game, Yellow is still just a control deck. Now, granted, not having Tron makes things like Condescend and Repeal a lot worse. In most cases, against Niv, they're still somewhat playable, because even if X is a little lower, I'm gonna be mana starved for most of this game, because by the nature of my deck, I'm playing a bunch of 2-drops, I'm playing a bunch of 3-drops. If I could play Deathrite Shaman, I would. Absolutely. It's the best 2-mana 1-drop that's ever been printed. Right now, the best 2-color 1-drop is Judge's Familiar, I think. Like, it's the only one I can think of. Which, it has its places. It's one Azorius hybrid for a 1/1 flyer, and you can sack it to counter something on the stack unless they pay an extra mana. But it's basically a Force Spike, but with Force Spike at least you have it in hand, they don't know you have it, per se. With Judge's Familiar, they see you have it. They can play around it, and that makes the card a lot worse. And if like that's the bar for 2-color 1-drops, then yeah, there are not many good 2-color 1-drops. Now here I'm playing Valky, the flip planeswalker from Goldheim. I'm playing the creature side because I see Yella has a battle sphere. I see that next turn he's going to be able to play a battle sphere, so I figured, you know what, I'm gonna get rid of it for a turn. That's not ideal. I'm still just sitting here looking at Yella just slowly getting his mana, and I know the more mana Yella has, the further up shit creek I actually am. This is still gonna be rough. I need to actually put some pressure on him, but I can't. I also know he has Condescend. Okay, he plays the Blast Zone. That's gonna be able to clear the Valky and the Renin 6 if he wants to. Now, in this case, I decide, because the Mage right now is, yeah, making it extra clear, thank you, going for the Renin 6. Now, I have to choose. Do I want to give him the Battle Sphere, or do I want to give him the Emblem? I choose to give him the Battle Sphere. As a result, I do get a Renin 6 Emblem. I do have an Unmoored Ego in my graveyard, and a Assassin's Trophy. So this Renin 6 Emblem is gonna do a lot of work. For those of you who don't remember what the emblem actually does, it gives all spells in your graveyard retrace, which means that you can pay their mana, discard a land card, and then just play it from your graveyard. Doesn't go to exile, it stays in the graveyard. So as long as you pay the mana and pitch a land, you can keep repeatedly playing them. That's a really powerful effect. Again, Yella has the Mere Battlesphere on the field. The Supreme Verdict is going to do a lot of work on that front. But I still don't really have anything going on. Like, I have answers as long as I have land. But as soon as I run out of land, I need to keep drawing gas here, or I'm not doing anything. Meanwhile, Yella can actually protect whatever it is he wants to try and play here. A Windswept Heath being discarded to Assassin's Trophy, getting rid of the Blast Zone. Alright, fair enough. Yella is just still able to find islands. That's also one of the perks of playing a control deck. Control decks usually have enough basic lands because they can, sometimes because they have to, usually just because they can. If you're already playing so many lands. Now, in the case of Mono Blue Tron, of course, they're playing so many Tron lands, but that still leaves plenty of room for whatever utility land you can have, and then a boatload of islands. We're looking at 6 islands right now. I'm thinking, do they play more? I'm not sure, actually. They might. That deck plays a lot of islands. Because it's usually easier to find your Tron pieces because you're playing just expedition maps. Find them. Thirst for Knowledge, discarding Walking Ballista. Normally you wouldn't discard the Walking Ballista in this situation, but you don't have Tron. Like, if you had Tron, that Ballista was gonna run it down. Just end it straight up. Oblivion Ring coming out for Yella. I'm not sure what set that is. but that art is pretty spectacular. Also kind of dark. Lightning Helix coming out. Lightning Helix is a fantastic card to be retracing because it can actually end the game by itself once you give it retrace. Fairy coming out. The fairy bouncing the Oblivion Orb. Yellow decides, you know what? I want to get rid of that thing because I want to be able to play counter spells. Fair enough. That's still going to be a value to fairy though, because that's essentially a 1-for-1, but it also drew me a card, and it cost him 5 more mana. So at the end of the day, it's probably worth it for me, but the static effect on Teferi should not be underestimated. Prismatic Vista being discarded for, I believe, retracing a Lightning Helix. I should probably get better at that. And, like, pick up the card, but actually put it on the field. But you know, it is what it is. No, it was for Unmoored Ego. Now I remember, because at that point I'm thinking, okay, what can actually kill me? There's the Unmoored Ego. What can actually kill me here? As I said, me and Yella have been playing for a while. I kind of know what threats he has. Part of that is also because I egoed him the first time. I was like, Ballista doesn't matter. He actually already discarded all of them, and I destroyed his Academy runes, so he actually has no way of getting his Walking Ballistas back. So I figured, you know what, Ugin is gonna wreck my day. Get it out of there. So what does that leave? That still leaves Wormcoil Engine, which is going to be really hard to get rid of, because that essentially takes 3 Assassin's Trophies to get rid of, including the tokens. I mean, or 1 Assassin's Trophy and a Supreme Verdict. That's still not ideal. What else kind of threats are we looking at here? I actually can't quite remember. Yella also drawing exactly one kind of Tron piece. What's it? That's the mine, right? He's drawn 3 mines, like naturally drawn. He didn't look for any of them. 3 mines, no power plants. That's a thing. That's a thing. What else can kill me here? So sometimes Mono Blue Tron also plays the 6 mana Ugin. Yella is not playing 6 mana Ugin right now. He has in the past, but not right now. He's transmuting a Tolaria West, getting a Chalice of the Void. Chalice, of course, also being a really good card, good enough to actually put in your main deck. Because again, you're not this stompy deck. You're not an aggressive Eldrazi deck. You're not a stompy. I put 7 mana Planeswalker on turn 3 kind of deck. You're a control deck that just happens to make boatloads of mana. So yeah, play Chalice. But yeah, I'm thinking what his remaining threat was, because I remember asking him at the time, because that's what you got to do when you're casting Unmoored Ego. Thinking, what does he have left? Honestly, don't remember. Play another Unmoored Ego. And try and find out. Or to get rid of what the last card is, because me from the past knows. Riemann coming out. Riemann actually gonna put the card back into my hand, because that's how retrace works. Which, weird interaction like that. Now, I remember that I really wanted to cast that Unmoored Ego to get rid of his last threat. He remanded it to make sure he wasn't gonna die to an Unmoored Ego and then getting milled out, because that is very much a possibility. As a Field of Ruin, a old bordered Field of Ruin comes out from Time Spiral Remastered. Just that set is just fantastic. Like if you're into like the old school card frame, Time Spiral Remastered and Modern Horizons 2 just are fantastic for you. I retrace my Lightning Helix again. And then I get Mind Slavered, and Yella is able to just see what it is. But I still have. He knows about the Unmoored Ego, and I top decked an Assassin's Trophy. Oh yeah, I remember what he did. He's gonna Assassin's Trophy his own Tron piece, which, like, out of context, that sounds really dumb. But actually kind of makes sense. He wants to thin his deck because he wants to find a threat. Now, he's casting Unmoored Ego, naming Expedition Map to get rid of his own Expedition Map. And I suddenly remembered what his threat still was. He added a Batterskull. Yeah, just a lone Batterskull, no Stoneforge Mystic, just Batterskull because you have plenty of mana to just bounce it and keep playing it. That's fine. And he's playing a Shark Typhoon. And now he has emptied my hand. I need to draw lands to actually retrace things, and he has a moment to resolve Shark Typhoon, protect it with some kind of counter spells, and just start churning out those sharks. And that's a problem. And it's weird, because most people, when they see you make a Renin 6 emblem, they assume, oh yeah, no, the game is over. That's it. I can't beat that. Then there's those decks that just mind slaver you, get rid of all your answers, and then just hard cast a Shark Typhoon with backup. I don't think he has backup right now, but he is gonna play it because it's still really good. Yeah, he's going straight for the Chalice on 2. Giving him 4/4 Shark. He's gonna turn off all my Assassin's Trophies, which means I need some other answer to either Shark Typhoon or the Chalice, and that's kind of rough. That is kind of rough. You don't see people hardcasting Shark Typhoon a lot. When they do, let me tell you, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I add Yorion to my hand. Maybe get a blocker into play. I guess Utopia Sprawl, because why not? I don't even remember what color I named, but it doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter. I have all the mana I could ever use. Like, mana isn't my issue. Actually being able to cast things is my issue. Get a Mere Signet, which makes a 2/2 Shark. It gets countered by the Chalice of the Void. He actually forgot that he had a Chalice on 2. I reminded him. That's fine. He still gets the 2/2 Shark. And starts beating. And this game is pretty much done. So yeah, this is pretty much going as you would expect a control mirror going, a niv versus control going. I like to call it a control mirror because niv is kind of a controlling style deck, but it's mostly a value deck, and the value that niv brings needs to actually be put into play to actually do anything. That is a retraced Supreme Verdict, trying to clear out the board. But not gonna be enough. It's not gonna be enough. And if you watched yesterday's video, then this is pretty much how you expect this kind of matchup to go. If you didn't watch yesterday's video and you are a fan of the grindy control games, go watch that video. That video is great. Feel free to watch this video till the end first. I don't think this video... I was going to say I don't think this video is going to be that long. These are two grindy decks. This video is going to last a while. But yeah, if you enjoy the kind of control style game, I mean, if you're still watching this, you probably are. Like, let's be honest. If you enjoy that kind of game, go watch yesterday's video against Ruben playing Esper Control. Fantastic games. I love those slow, grindy controlling games. Like, when the games last that long, it matters more what you're actually doing in the grand scheme of things. The macro play is more important than the micro play. Like, if a game is over in like 3 turns, then sure, everything you do in those 3 turns matters. Unless they don't. Sometimes they don't. That is a kicked spell burst. So spell burst is a 3-mana counter spell, but it has and it's not kicker, it's buyback. Buyback of 3 mana. So basically for 6 mana, it's a counter spell that you then don't put in the graveyard. And once that gets going, it's done. You're done. Right. Wait, is it actually 6 mana? Does it add to the converted mana cost? It doesn't, right? And here I have a momentary lapse in judgment. Remember that he still has the spell burst, and I'm not actually gonna play anything. And I scoop it up. Like, that counter spell isn't running out anytime soon. Like, what you could do technically is play more than 1 spell in a turn, because you are paying 6 mana for the privilege of not losing your counterspell. But that means you have to actually draw 2 spells and not die in the process to a 6/6 flying shark. That's a lot to ask. And I'm starting game 2 here on double pillar. Pillar making all colors of mana, but only to be used to cast multicolored spells. I have plenty of those, I can tell you that. Of course, because the Niv comes into play, looks at the top 10 cards of your library, and adds all cards. No. Sorry, let me rephrase that. For each 2-color pair, it adds one of those cards to your hand, and the rest go to the bottom of your library. So everything I'm playing is 2 colors. Everything yellow is playing is either colorless or blue, as we see Spreading Seas coming out on my Pillar of the Perons. So now it makes blue, and it makes blue. I'm gonna need more than blue to actually do something, but blue's a start. It's better than him just straight up destroying my land, getting wastelanded out of this game. That's fair. I also decided to use my Lightning Helix while I still had the mana to actually use it. As we see the other mage coming out, I think this is the Trinket Mage, and the other one was the Trophy Mage. And one of them gets a converted mana cost, the other gets another. I always forget those, which one's which. Well, this one apparently got an expedition map, so this one I think gets CMC 1 then, I guess. Mana value 1. Wizard changed it. I'm not sure why they changed it. I'm not sure how I keep getting away with just playing out my Unmoored Ego on curve, and then naming Tron lands, and then apparently still losing game 1 after turn 2 Unmoored Ego and a Renin 6 emblem. But you know, it's fine. It's fine. Let me adjust my view here a bit. Not sure what happened to my camera there. Yeah, getting rid of Tron, great start. Gonna have to do a little better than that though. Getting rid of Tron in and of itself isn't actually gonna end the game. It's gonna help. It's gonna give you a hell of a lot of breathing room. But it's not a permanent solution. That's okay. What else are we seeing in his hand? The expedition map we knew of. We see a Thirst for Knowledge. We see a Ugin. I believe 2 islands. Yeah, 2 islands. And a Tectonic Edge. Tectonic Edge is just another form of land destruction. Like, I believe it destroys target non-basic land, but only if you already have... No, if your opponent already has 4 or more lands, I believe. Of course, that's not his first choice for land-based land destruction, but he also plays for Field of Ruin. Which actually also helps fix his mana somewhat. Omnath coming down here. Omnath right now looking like a modern staple, one of the best creatures in Modern. It's looking like it's lost a couple points with Modern Horizons 2, not because it's gotten worse, but because the deck it's playing just didn't get anything really new, really interesting to play. Maybe it got like Territorial Kavu, maybe General Ferris Rukirik. If the deck wants to play that, if you're on the controlling side, you can play like straight up Counterspell. That works absolutely. But overall, Omnath still just a really fantastic card. Just way too much text on it. Because it comes down, it already draws a card. Now, I play a fetch land. I gain 4 life. I crack my fetch land. I get his mana cost back into my mana pool, and just doing that every time you play and then crack a fetch is just fantastic. It's just absolute bonkers. But it is a pretty restrictive mana cost. It's everything sans black. Then of course that doesn't. It can matter. It can matter. But then if you go ahead and play a fetch and fetch a black source, you can use that black source and the mana you get from Omnath to. You can also play a Teferi. Yeah, that is a legal play. As Yellow tries to counter it with a spell burst, that gets veiled. That's them's the beats. Them's the beats, because now that the Teferi's on the field and Yellow's counter spells are just off. But what you also can do is use the black source you fetched and the mana you get from the Omnath to then go into niv-mizzet Reborn. And once you go do that, that gets out of hand real fast. And in some cases, even on turn 3, because you play a lot of ramp in that deck. The deck usually plays Utopia Sprawl. It sometimes plays a number of Birds of Paradise. And more recently, from Strixhaven, it plays Prismari Command. Prismari Command, 1 blue and a red, and one of its modes includes creating a treasure token, which means you can play it on turn 2, ramp on turn 1, Prismari Command on turn 2 with whatever other mode you use on it. It has a couple other modes that are also pretty relevant. And then on turn 3, as Yellow concedes here, yeah, on turn 3, play Omnath, play a fetch for a black source, and then have enough mana to just slam a niv-mizzet Reborn. On turn 3, just casually put 10 power into play and draw a card and gain 4 life, and whatever you find of Niv, you can just keep in your hand. It's fantastic. It's gas. Absolute gas. But yeah, Yella was looking at that Omnath and then the Teferi resolving with the Veil of Summer backup, and he was like, yeah, this isn't happening. And that's pretty much the kind of hand you're looking at, as in that's what you're gonna have to do to beat control decks. Just keep up relentless pressure. And Veil of Summer definitely helps in that, because that one counter spell they do have, throw it away. Get rid of it. I'll draw a card. It's 1 green for a Cryptic Command. Like, the comparison has been made, and it has been made for good reason, because it's essentially just counter your counter, draw a card, or 1 green, and nothing that turn can be countered anymore. It's ridiculous. It's one of the reasons why control decks these past few years have just been forced to play a more proactive game. As a control deck, you do not want to play a more proactive game. Like, I get that people want you to play that way, but that's not what you're looking to do. That's not why you're playing control. At least that's not why I'm playing control, and I'm pretty sure there's other people who play control not to be proactive. But that's kind of what you gotta do these days. Veil of Summer is a part of that. thankfully, Veil of Summer works both ways, so you can actually help it to do your proactive thing. And as far as proactive things go in control decks, you got some good cards. We saw on Math Stoneforge Mystic, even though I'm not a fan of Stoneforge Mystic. It is a fantastic card when you're trying to close out the game. Absolutely. Like, I absolutely have to acknowledge the fact that it's a good card. The Assassin's Trophy coming out here, making sure Yellow doesn't get Tron off of this expedition map. Just buying myself some time. Yeah, you're kind of just... You gotta do what you gotta do, you know? And I love these grindy controlling decks. I love value decks. Niv is just my idea of great Magic. Just grind. And that's not for everyone. That's what's great about Magic. There's something for everyone. Even if you're not playing, maybe you're just you're watching. Maybe you enjoy limited. You don't have a deck. Maybe there is a deck you really enjoy, like I enjoy Niv. Or maybe you're just someone who has a store, sells Magic, interacts with the players, and that's your thing. You know, there is something for everyone. Something that you'll enjoy. That's what's great about Magic. As Yella plays a fair Wormcoil engine, just a casual tap 6 lands, put a Wormcoil engine into play. Time has been called in around, unfortunately. We are in turn 2. Try to cast the Fairy, bounce the Wormcoil engine. Does seem to work for this turn. But unfortunately, it looks like this game is not one we're going to be able to finish. That's okay. You know, it happens. Mirror Battlesphere being dropped. That's a big boy. Yeah, I personally enjoy long, drawn-out games of Magic. Like, we're sitting here to play Magic, so let's play plenty of it. And if that's not your style, it's not your style. That's fine. But it's kind of sad that it seems like they're kind of phasing out a style of Magic, you know? Like, just the draw go kind of control is becoming a dying breed, and I'm kind of sad to see it go. But who knows? Maybe they'll come back. Maybe Veil of Summer is just something that in 5, maybe 10 years we stop playing because it's not good enough. Who knows? I mean, if we get to a format where that isn't good enough, I don't know what kind of format that is, but that's some power creep right there. So, Bring to Light being cast here. Gonna get Valky. Valky gonna get cast as Tybalt. Because remember, they changed the Cascade ruling. Not Valky and Tybalt. Yeah, not the way Tybalt is actually checked. So, to be fair, it's not a 3-mana Tybalt. It's a 5-mana Tybalt, which is still good. Like, don't get me wrong, it's still good. Tybalt is an amazing card. It basically draws you 2 extra cards every turn, one of which is from your opponent's deck, which, do not underestimate that card once it comes down. but it's definitely more balanced than people playing Ardent Plea or Shardless Agent and just getting into it on turn 2. Turn 2 Tybalt is not what you want in Magic. Yella gonna cast the Mindslaver here. Not quite sure what happened to the Mindslaver. Oh, right, because turns was called, we're just talking through some possible lines. Yeah, unfortunately, this match is going to remain unresolved. And we're going to end the evening on that. And with that, the video. As I struggle to find a way to actually close out this video. And I'm just going to keep rambling, and I'm going to press stop recording. And this video is going to end one way or another.